Hello, first grade comic book authors. I'm so excited to be here today. I've transformed into my alter ego, Polar Princess, with my sidekick, Petey the Polar Bear. And today I'm going to help you guys get started on your own comic book. I'm going to show you the steps that I took to make mine. And to get us started, I'm actually going to read you guys my comic book from last year. So get comfy and get ready for the adventures of Polar Princess versus Global Warming Guy. Okay, friends, so up at the top it says episode 1 because this is the first comic book that I made using these two characters, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go forward writing an episode 2. But I have my title page, I have my two characters by superhero, Polar Princess, there's Petey, and I have my villain, Global Warming Guy. Written and illustrated by Mrs. Swartz, of me. All right, page 1. And this is the page where I am introducing you guys to my hero and how she got her powers. In the Milky Way galaxy, on a small planet called Earth, a small princess was exploring her Arctic home when she was stuck in a terrible snowstorm. Oh, I love my home. Brr, it's freezing. I should take shelter until the storm passes. There's Petey. Time to get some heat and rest up. Meanwhile, the storm got worse while our hero slept. A powerful bolt of lightning struck the cave, sending a frozen shock into the princess. All of a sudden, the storm stopped. What was that? I feel very strange, and my fingers are as cold as icicles. Little did the princess know that the storm surge had given her magical powers that would one day save the world. So this is my page 1. You can see that I have speech bubbles, I have thought bubbles, and then I also have captions. That's what a narrator would be reading, and it's helping us understand what's happening in our story outside of what the hero's saying. Page 2. Across the planet, in a steaming hot biome called the Sonoran Desert, a man named Greg couldn't get cool, and that made him lose his cool. I'm so tired of being hot. Whoa, what's happening to my hair? And my hands are burning. Now that I have fire power, I'm going to heat up the planet so no one ever feels cool again. Guys, take it easy with those fossil fuels. That's Earth, and that's the thermometer. Earth was already having trouble with warm temperatures because humans were not careful with their non-renewable resources. Greg saw this and created his evil villain persona, Global Warming Guy. Dun, dun, dun. Now I've introduced my hero, I introduced my villain, and now I'm going to introduce you guys to the problem. And I'm going to add some details. Page 3. And so, Global Warming Guy put his evil plan into action. With my fire power, I will create my fire squad of evil minions. Global Warming Guy and his evil fire squad went to work telling everyone that conservation was silly and they didn't need to care about the planet. And I showed that with a crossed out sign over the recycling symbol. The carbon levels on Earth reached record levels. CO2. Things started heating up. What's happening? I've never seen the water so high. I must stop Global Warming Guy. Help. Page 4. And page 4 is when the problem explodes. The villain and hero have a big action scene here. And so Polar Princess climbed aboard her sidekick, Peter the Polar Bear. They traveled through many different biomes until you can see them traveling through a beachy biome, maybe the Pacific Ocean. They finally arrived in Tucson, Arizona, where Global Warming Guy waited. Geez, what took you so long? Before our hero could say snowflake, Global Warming Guy set his fire squad on Tucson. First Tucson, then the world. so fast, global warming grump. It's time for you to chill out. Using her ice powers, Polar Princess turned the growing monsoon into a blizzard. Breaking news. You aren't gonna believe this, Tom, but it's a snowstorm in Tucson in May. It was an ice fire battle of epic proportions. And teachers make mistakes too. Silly me. I spelled Tucson wrong, but I fixed it. All right, page 5. And page 5 is when the problem gets solved. People of Tucson, it's time to stand up for our planet. Global warming guy's flames were strong, but the power of Polar Princess was stronger. Before long, only smoke was left of GWG, or global warming guy's, evil plan. A white blanket of snow covered Tucson. Whoosh. And there, do you guys remember what that's called? The sound words? It's an onomatopoeia. Sigh. I was spoiled again. I was spoiled by Polar Princess and people protecting our planet. Now I'll never feel cool. Wait a second. It's snowing? Page 6. That's where our villain learns a lesson. I finally understand that heating up the planet is the worst thing I could do. I must now pay for my crimes. Oh, it's so hot in here. And I tried to show that he was in jail because I have the bars right there. I wish I could be helping the planet instead. Ding! The light bulb is a symbol for an idea. Polar Princess had a bright idea. Why don't you join me on my mission to teach the world about conservation? I made you a magical towel that will always keep you cool. Together, Polar Princess and Go Green Greg saved the planet. The end. And then on the very back, I said, look out for episode 2, Go Green Greg versus Landfill Louie, coming soon to a comic store near you. But I haven't written this one yet, and that's actually what we're going to be working on today. Now, just like good engineers and good scientists, authors don't just jump right into their story with an idea. They have to come up with a plan. I didn't write this in one day. I wrote it over about 2 weeks. After I had planned out all of my pages, I carefully planned out my 2 characters so that they would make sense. And then I was able to follow that plan and make a comic book that I was proud of. So you guys are going to follow those same steps, and you can make a comic book that you're proud of as well. So the very first step is deciding who your characters are going to be. So in my comic book, I picked a superhero and a supervillain. Now we see superheroes and villains all the time, but a trick is that you cannot choose one that you already know. You have to come up with one from your imagination. So there's already comic books about Spider-Man and Superman and Captain America, but this is the only comic book in the world about Polar Princess. So I'm giving you guys that challenge too. Use your imagination and come up with characters that are unique to you and can be introduced to the world from your imagination. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys the character planning to get started. All right, friends, so here we have a giant T-chart, and this is for our character planning. So on the left side, I have my superhero, and on the right side, I have my supervillain. So I'm going to think, okay, starting with just the small details about my character, I kind of already have my ideas because when I finished writing my comic book last time, I wanted to take global warming guy who turned into Go Green Greg. I wanted to take him and turn him into an even stronger positive character. So that's what I'm going to do. Go Green Greg is now going to be my hero in episode 2. So name is Go Green Greg, and his superpower, it used to be his fire power, but now his superpower is going to be anything he touches can be repurposed or recycled. Now, Go Green Greg drives a hybrid, naturally. And the setting, oops, I spelled hybrid wrong. Teachers make mistakes too, right? They're part of learning. His setting, he's still going to be in Tucson, Arizona. I really like having the setting a place that I know and that I love too, because it's kind of more fun to read a story about a place I love. So I kind of already know what he's going to look like. I'm going to draw him to look like he did at the end here. He's going to have his magical towel that keeps him cool. He's going to have a recycling t-shirt. He doesn't like being hot, so he's going to be in like a sleeveless shirt and some shorts, and he's going to have a recycling bucket with him. So I'm not going to draw him here right now because I don't want to run out of time in our video. But my villain is going to be Landfill Louie. Now, I have not drawn him yet, so this is the time where I get to dream him up and decide what I want him to look like. So his name is going to be Landfill Louie. His superpower is going to be he can collect any bit of trash and just add it to himself, and he can turn into a huge like trash monster. So we're going to say trash monster transformation. His getaway vehicle, he has a giant trash barge. Gross. Okay, and his evil plan is to stop all recycling so he can be all powerful. Okay, good thing I'm writing with pencil, right? Okay, now I want my supervillain. I don't want him to be too scary. Let's see, but I want him to be kind of the colors that we would see in a landfill. So a lot of like greens and maybe some tans and some browns. And I want him to have trash all over him. So I'm gonna start with, maybe he could just be made out of trash. That would be kind of cool. Maybe his head's gonna be like pizza, like an old pizza with some pepperonis and some olives. And then maybe his torso is made out of an old suitcase that somebody threw away. And his legs are made out of pool noodles. And his arms, maybe his arms are made out of like old lawn tools, like a rake and a shovel. Okay, now obviously I'm gonna make him look a little bit more detailed. I'm gonna add colors. I might even go back and change things. Like I might not have him keep the pizza head. I don't know. This is my rough draft. And as I work on my comic book, I can change him all that I want because he's my character and this is my story. And that's what's so cool about being an author. You have the power. It's your imagination. So I have Landfill Louie, at least a rough sketch of him. So I have my two characters. Now, after I have my two characters figured out and I know what his evil plan is, he wants to stop all recycling, that's when I can start working on my comic book map. So back to my comic book, I have a cover page. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. Now, if I had any less than 6 pages, I don't think I would have been able to tell my story as well. I think I would have left out some important details. So I do suggest that you guys have at least 6 pages. If you want to have more than that, go for it. Make it as detailed as you want, but at least 6 pages helps your readers to really understand your characters, understand your problem, be invested in your problem, and be really happy at the end when that problem gets solved. And you can make your readers feel all kinds of emotions when you give them those details to pull them in. So in the storybook map, each little box is numbered. Like this is the number 1, this is the number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these boxes match the pages in my comic book. So the very first one is the introduction page. You're gonna write and draw who was your hero and how did they get their powers. So I told you guys that my hero started out just as a girl, then she got stuck in a storm and she got her powers and she developed her superhero persona, Polar Princess. So on this page, I'm going to do a quick little recap because somebody might not have read my first comic before they started episode 2, and I want them to know who Go Green Greg is and how he got his powers and a little bit of his backstory, because knowing that he used to be that guy, I think really helps you understand why he's doing what he's doing. So who's your hero and how did they get their powers? My hero is Go Green Greg. And I would suggest that you guys add a lot of details to these boxes because the more details you have, just like in an engineering plan, the easier it's going to be to write your story because you've already thought out some of the potential problems. So who's my hero? Go Green Greg. I'm going to give a recap of his history, and I'm going to tell my readers about his recycling power. Okay, on my second page, that's where we're going to meet the problem. I'm going to have Go Green Greg talking to people about conservation when he comes across the landfill. And he notices that the landfill's gotten a lot bigger and that's starting to be a little bit suspicious. Like the garbage is going back into the town. Some of the garbage is changing. So I'm going to meet the problem. I'm going to write GGG for Go Green Greg because this is just my story map. So Go Green Greg notices changes in landfill and he meets Landfill Louie. So Landfill Louie is going to introduce himself and maybe try and be friends with Go Green Greg, but then they realize that they are two very different sides of an issue. There's a good side and there's an evil side. So they're going to meet each other, but realize, okay, they can't be friends. They're going to have a pretty big problem in this comic book. Okay, so I'm going to add details to the problem. What's the evil plan? Landfill Louie wants to stop all recycling so he can be all powerful and turn Earth into his trash empire. Okay. The problem explodes. The villain and hero have their big action scene. So in this one, I think Landfill Louie is going to start growing. And destroying recycling bins. And Go Green Greg, ooh, what if Go Green Greg calls in a cameo of Polar Princess? I think I'll do that. So Go Green Greg calls for backup Polar Princess. Okay, the problem gets solved. So Go Green Greg and Polar Princess teach the world about, maybe teach the world the importance of conservation. through a giant maybe a giant video screen that they make. I don't know, I might come back to this, I'm not sure. And at the very end, the villain learns a lesson. So after everybody starts being more careful about what they're putting in the landfill Louis shrinks back down. And maybe landfill Louis starts to see how nice it is to have things clean and organized and a planet that's not suffocating from pollution and carbon dioxide. So maybe landfill Louis shrinks back down and gets a job at the Container Store. Okay, so that's obviously a very rough draft of my comic book. I think I'll probably make quite a few changes before it's done, but I think I have a good idea of where I want my story to go. So now I can take each one of these boxes and I can take the comic book pages that you guys have in, hold on a second, dropping stuff. You can pick which comic book pages really fit what you guys are trying to say on each page. So there's a lot of options. Like this one has 5 different boxes. I use this one as my 5th page. No, my 6th page, because I wanted this one to be the biggest, where she offers to help him out of his not so great situation if he's willing to help her. So I wanted this box to be really big, so this page worked for me. Sometimes just 4 boxes. You could use 1 box just as a caption. I used this one on page 1, where I wanted you guys to see the pictures here, but here I really just drew a lightning bolt and I wrote a caption because I didn't think a picture was really too important to you for you understanding what was happening there. This is really good for like a beginning and a middle and an end of something that's happening, maybe the big fight scene. This one has lots of little boxes. So you guys have all of the choice and all of the power here on how your comic book is going to come together and which one of these pages are really going to fit your plan. There it is. Okay, so my suggestion is that you use 1 page of panels for each box here to really be able to build your story. And if you want to go over 6 pages, do it. That's awesome. Go for it. I'm also including a cover page and a back page that you can decorate with your title and your characters, and also a lookout for episode 2, because that's kind of fun. All right, friends, now I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna start working on my comic book. Petey the Polar Bear and I are going to start working on our pages. And if you guys were able to watch the short videos from last week with Mr. McDonald, he has some really good ideas on how you can make like bubble letters, how you can use dark ink to color it around to make your pictures and letters really pop. So if you haven't seen those videos, I suggest you guys go back. They're still really cool and they're short. They're only like 3 or 4 minutes long. But take your time on this, because when you're done, trust me guys, it is a really cool project that you can keep, and everybody loves to read comic books. So share it, share your comic book with other people. So good luck, comic book authors. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with, and have fun.